If I said NFT, ERC20, DEX, DeFi, does that ring any bells? If so, you are like millions of people who are well versed in the world of cryptocurrency. Many have begun their journey into the crypto world using digital gold Bitcoin. Today, we are exploring what crypto is and blockchain technology with our co-host and investing professional Quentin. We will also discuss ways that you can integrate crypto into your lives. So for the first time, I get to say, welcome our co-host, investing professional Quentin.
Hey, how's it going?
Great. All right, Q.
It feels weird being on this end of the interviewer.
All right, so let us know, how did you get into crypto and blockchain technology?
So I guess the easy way is school, right? When I was doing my MBA back a long time ago, probably way before a lot of our listeners, I had one of my professors who was having a discussion about systems and programming. And this was all in an MBA class that was about computers and processing and creating systems. And one of the discussion points came with currency, which was odd because a lot of people don't think of currency as a system, but it is. It's just a way of creating an exchange. And my professor at the time, she brought up Bitcoin. She was like, there's a type of currency being developed that is digital, meaning it doesn't exist other than through the ones and zeros that we appear, that has a nominal value of some sort based off of a general acceptance. And I was interested at the time, but this was obscure. This is back in, God, I hate saying this, but it's back in 2011, 2012. So back then, talking about cryptocurrencies is kind of like referring to a mythical creature, really. You were just putting on bets about ideas of things. It was a theology more than it was a concrete idea. Accessing it was difficult. It was practically seen as illegal because of what it was being used for. So that was the first time I got introduced to cryptocurrency. Then came a lot of people might know the 4-year cycle of Bitcoin. When they do a halving, there's a big jump in value that occurs. And those were times where, it was brought to the media and national attention. And I'll admit, my first 2 times seeing those cycles, I was just like, this thing is still a joke. Or if it isn't a joke, it's just way overvalued. It doesn't make any sense. But that's before I even took a look at, really dug into it and really understood what currency was. And I always tell people, if you can start understanding what exactly currency is, everything else becomes much easier to understand, accept.
That's pretty interesting. So one, we do know you're a investing professional. Did you ever decide hey, I want to invest in this personally? And when did you kind of take that gambit or jump in to invest? What made you take that first leap?
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and make recommendations, but I did personally make the choice to start investing in cryptocurrencies. And so 2019 was when I really started getting into the research of things, but I wasn't expecting to start building any positions. I was just trying to get a good hold of understanding what was happening, getting a better understanding of currency flows, everything like that. And then 2020 is when I started to dive my feet in. And just full disclosure, my fund actually is invested in some assets as well.
So I'm going to say a word. You'll get 30 seconds or less to explain it. Sound good?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Blockchain.
Okay. Blockchain, that's the technology or the software that's used. It's a code, essentially an algorithm. And that algorithm is the basis for how each one of these main cryptos formulate their processes or their system. And Sometimes you'll have the main blockchains like Ethereum, Bitcoin, which have a certain algorithm like Zhash or Qubit. I mean, those are all types of processing algorithms. And those algorithms determine how and when coins are created, destroyed, used, spent. It also is a saving mechanism for information. They store and ledger each transaction, each movement of a coin in these time blocks that are basically like hard drives, essentially, that keep track of every transaction, every movement, what's been happening on the blockchain, meaning if there's a server that's been adding things like that, it's all information stored on this algorithm in and around the world.
Okay, so we kind of already mentioned this word, but cryptocurrency.
Yeah, so that broadly defines um, any type of digital, what we call token, or value or name of a algorithm, whether that's based off of a blockchain or a token. And we already explained what blockchains are, but let's imagine each blockchain, that information that gets saved on them, we can have a another algorithm that uses the main algorithm to input data into while giving access to functionality from somewhere else. And those cryptocurrencies that we interact with, those digital assets and coins, get logged on each one of those chains
Mm.
or algorithms.
NFT.
NFT is it's a type of token, so it's non-fungible token. So it's a cryptocurrency, but that currency isn't necessarily like money. It's a representation of something. And currently, NFTs are being used for art or GIFs or things like that. Those are what we've heard a lot of, but they can also be used for ID. So you can create an ID card, a digital ID card that is locked, that it can only be accessed by two people, usually yourself and the blockchain. And its only access point and only owner is referred to through a code inside of that specific token. So it's non-fungible, meaning it cannot be exchanged for equivalent value of something else. It is its own unique singular piece, non-fungible token.
I like it. DeFi.
DeFi is decentralized finance. So we have a centralized finance system currently. We work with banks, we work with federal governments, things of that nature. Decentralized finance is where finance is the same kind of systems we have in the central are dispersed and more, I would say it's more similar to like a Wild West kind of banking. So each individual can become its own bank. So you, for instance, could have your own assets that you could lend out to other people and other people would lend to you. And you can use a app or a decentralized application to meet with other people to make an agreement to finance, loan, whatever it could be. And that is what DeFi is.
That's where the idea of decentralized currency comes in when people mention blockchain or crypto.
Correct.
All right, next word ERC20.
ERC20 refers to one of those tokens or those singular coins that is designed to work on the Ethereum blockchain. So right now, these are the most popular cryptocurrencies out there, right? So you have Bitcoin, Ethereum, then you have some like just think like not polka dot. Polygon is a very good one. Uniswap. Those are ERC20 tokens. They link and do separate things on the side on their own algorithms, but those algorithms are connected to the Ethereum blockchain using the ERC20 coding.
Okay, now this word might be a tough one. Staking.
Oh, staking refers to a system. This is going to be tough. Let me see if I can make this all fit. So it's a type of security, and in some way, staking is a way for you to provide both income back to you while providing security to a system in the algorithms. That algorithm may use a set of servers to make the algorithm function, the blockchain work. And as we know, each blockchain, each server verifies that a transaction is indeed correct and is logged correctly. If it is incorrectly logged, those servers will lose money. So the point of it all is to say the money that we give to, for instance, like a bank, if they do a good job securing the money and keeping track of everything, our money's safe and we get a dividend. But if they don't, the federal government comes in and usually, closes the bank, or at least takes money and fines the bank. So we don't get a dividend or lose money. So it's an incentive to essentially create security and incentivize these servers to do things correctly.
Okay.
I know that was more than 30 seconds.
No, this is good information, especially if someone's a novice or, such as myself, beginning to learn more about crypto. So, speaking about the future, what's your opinion on Bitcoin adoption, and what exactly do you think that means for us in the future?
If you had said cryptocurrency adoption, I would have gone a different way. But Bitcoin, I think, is still going to be a growing. You're likely to see a higher amount of adoption go in the future, just because we understand that fiat money and the use of it is slowly moving digital anyway. Like, I don't know too many people that carry around cash anyway. Yeah. So we're already using digital money. We're just getting confirmations through a centralized system like Swift. But if, for instance, you travel to another country, right? And if anybody has traveled, you have to put a travel alert, you have to do all these things. You have dollars and you're going to France and you have to use euros. Your bank has to make an exchange with another bank to agree on an exchange rate for your money. It's a lot of work just for you to use your card in another country, which then has to be, registered through their internet systems. And, you keep going down the line. There's a lot of different steps that have to be taken. But there's something to be said about being able to use a singular currency that is accepted everywhere, that's easily broken down, like unlike gold. Like maybe you could use gold in other countries, but how easy is it to pay for something that's $3 when gold is at $1,800 an ounce? Like, how do you do a shaving? But you can do that easily with these cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. And as just a thought, as a replacement, like you already use something as a store of value like gold. And really the only thing that's keeping gold up is we all believe that there's value to be had in this, and everybody shares that there's a desire that this asset, this thing, is worth something. And it's harder to move. It's harder to keep track of. And, there's more and more gold getting made, there's less and less of it being found, but there's a lot of gold in the world. And, the gold reserves that we have left, there's still plenty of years left for more of it to get produced. But we know for a fact that Bitcoin only makes 21 million coins. And thus it's a lot easier to track. It's very easy to split, easy to transact with. So I think it has a place in the future. Now, how big does it get? I can't tell you, but I do think that it's going to have a significant impact in our future.
So crypto projects are really companies from my understanding, and their respective tokens are very similar to owning parts of projects. Are there any specific projects that interest you?
Yeah, so let me address that the company's part. So it's easier for people to understand each one of these projects, these cryptocurrencies or tokens, if to look at them as if they were companies, because that's how you distinguish the difference between, in part of my language, like cryptocurrencies and what the community calls, cover your ears if you have children, shit coins. The difference really is that if a company, right, doesn't create any way of creating value for either customers or themselves within their algorithm, then they're considered the latter, the shitcoins. If they do create some kind of value for both users and for themselves by collecting a fee of some sort with security and everything like that, that's really what you're looking for. I mean, that's very similar to what companies do, but those tokens give you access to different things of functionality and things of that nature. So interesting projects out there. Each blockchain project, so the main blockchains, I'm talking like Bitcoin, Ethereum, those obviously give different values. Bitcoin, for instance, is more like a store of value system. And if you understand general currency, you understand there's can only be so much money in the world. But if that money pot keeps growing and you have a limited asset, like Bitcoin only has 21 million coins by the end, like when they're done printing, there will only be 21 million coins, but there could be $26 trillion worth of money, printed fiat money created in the world. And it could keep growing every year. So in equivalence, that means the Bitcoin could actually hold more value over time. So that's always one to keep in mind. Ethereum blockchain is essentially like a program, like essentially like the operating system. It gives an ability for other people to use their operating system to build application systems off of. And to use that operating system, they have to pay a fee. And it may not be the people who build the apps, but it certainly is the people who use the apps have to pay in Ethereum. So those are the two largest ones. And then you've got some interesting ones like Polkadot, Cardano. Those are other blockchains that want to replicate what's happening with Ethereum. But there's some things that are some tokens that are looking to replace in traditional finance, like investing. So some of them are trying to create a mirror of tokens in their trading systems to basically copy real world stocks, but in cryptocurrency. There are regulatory and legal exchanges that are getting popped up into the crypto world that'll give you access to like creating an ID system so you can travel with this ID, like kind of a digital passport. And there's one that helps logistics that basically tracks for instance, can allow someone to create a specific type of tracking ID and helps track where things are, when they are, incentivizes both the users who are using the system as well as the people who are providing information as to the tracking. So it takes out a lot of the middleman issues. And there's another one that also, I find this one kind of interesting, focuses on creating a distributed internet. So we all hear about miners. And this is where I was kind of trying to get to with the staking thing is miners, some coins use miners, which hash out or calculate out these blockchain algorithms to provide a logging system to calculate a number that they give back to the main system. And in consensus with other computers, they come with an answer. And when that answer, the first person or the first couple of people who find that answer get rewarded with some cryptocurrency. Miners, in this case, wouldn't be hashing out information. Instead, they'd be distributing internet. And that internet, is checked by other essentially miners. And then if anybody uses that internet, usually companies who need some type of broadband access in the middle of nowhere can use this internet, then you get paid in that cryptocurrency. So there's a lot of interesting projects out there.
These are some interesting projects. So the one that you actually mentioned about stocks, it kind of reminds me, and I might be off a little bit, but it reminds me kind of like ETFs, but it's going to be crypto ETFs in a sense.
Yeah. So there's a project out there that basically gives you the choice if you use their coin or their token to purchase like really it's a derivative. So it's like a copy. So it tracks, similar to how ETFs track a index, they'll track a stock. And their systems will, their algorithm will track the stock's performance, and it will give you the payout of the equivalent in that cryptocurrency back to you. So it's just really a way of replacing the fiat currency that you normally do, which might have volatility in it. Like, it's weird to think about, but the dollar and how it correlates to perhaps the euro, it loses a little bit of value here or there. But if you have a single value that stays true, in equivalence, you don't have to worry about the fluctuations, right? You just worry about the actual trading of that asset, that derivative.
And I realized I actually dropped some lingo. So I said ETF. If you're not familiar with what ETF is, that's an electronically traded fund. So it basically it measures out or follows a mutual fund. So when I say ETF, that's following electronically a mutual fund.
It's a space that's still developing. It's very new. There's no regulations. There's a lot of learning to do, the lingo. So if you're going to take into this, I really recommend you take the time to learn more about things. It took me a solid year and a half to feel comfortable before I could start investing. And I recommend people really take that time to look over things, understand, and not get trapped into coins, especially ones that talk about these big returns, because they could be nothing tomorrow. So keep that in mind. And I will say there are resources out there. There's plenty of people out there. Easy places most people already know is CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap. They have some great explanations. There's a few YouTube channels that have some solid people on there that have a lot of experience. So do your research. Everybody, I always say this, do your research. Make sure that you understand the token or the cryptocurrency you're looking at, what it does. Does it require you to invest money? How does it essentially operate? What does the algorithm do? And does it make money off of the things that it does? Those are very simple, small things to do. If it doesn't, you need to really ask yourself if this is a risk that you're willing to take.
This is part 1 of our 2-part discussion of crypto. Join us next episode where we discuss everyday use cases. Thank you again. See you next time. Like what you heard? Make sure you rate us and subscribe to Tailored Wealth Saver podcast.
If you have podcast ideas or topics you'd like for us to cover, email us at podcast@tailoredwealthsaver.com.